The sky over Rellis bled violet. Ash rained gently across the ruined plains as Commander Vachtel of the Arisian Defense Council stood at the crumbling edge of Outpost Pyra. His sensory spines twitched, tasting ionized blood in the wind. The final transmission from the eastern perimeter had cut off mid-scream. They were losing. Again. Behind him, the communications officer scuttled nervously. Command, we've received confirmation. Earth has responded. Reinforcements inbound. Vachtel turned, slow and deliberate. How many ships? 1, sir. The word hung awkwardly in the air. 1? Yes, sir. A single drop shuttle. ETA 5 minutes. A deep silence followed. Is this a joke? Vachtel hissed. They were told this was a critical front. That we are outnumbered 20-1. What is one shuttle supposed to do? No additional signals. The comms officer confirmed. Just the drop signature, and a transmission. The console beeped softly. The officer hesitated, then pressed it. A human voice crackled through. Com. Clipped. You called. We answered. Stand clear of the LZ. The line went dead. Vachtel stared at the sky as the drop shuttle broke through the clouds. No escort. No orbital barrage. Just a dull gray pod falling silent and fast, straight down like a blade. They landed just outside the outpost gates. Dust and smoke curled around the landing struts. The shuttle's hull bore no markings, no insignia. Not even a flag. Just matte black ceramic plating and small hand-painted symbols in Earth script, most unreadable to Arisian eyes. The ramp hissed open. Vachtel stepped forward with a security detail of 10, all armed and armored. And from the shadows of the hatch, 5 humans emerged. No power armor. No visible weapons. Just hardened faces, scarred uniforms, and eyes that looked like they'd forgotten how to blink. The one in front was tall, shaven-headed, quiet. His eyes scanned everything, like he was already building a map for killing. Where's your commander? Vachtel asked. The tall one stepped forward. That's me, he said. His voice was flat, almost bored. Sergeant Kale. Earth's Special Response. Vachtel blinked. You're not even an officer. Kale shrugged. You asked for help. Not a speech. He turned, motioned to his squad. This is Ren, Demo. Basto, Close Contact. Silva, Spotter. Jenks, Scout. The shortest of the group, Jenks, waved with a grin that was all teeth. His armor had tally marks scratched into the gauntlets, scores too high to count quickly. You're it? Vachtel asked, baffled. Kale simply said, We're enough. Hours later, the outpost command deck was in disarray. The humans had split up immediately, moving without orders or explanation. No shared comms, no coordination that the Arixians could follow. Just 5 lone shadows slipping through the battlefield like predators in a fog. Vachtel paced behind the defense monitors. The screens flashed red warnings across all fronts. Movement. Noise. But no confirmation. What are they doing? The comms officer asked. Scouting, I think. Vachtel muttered. Scouting with no drones? No support? Then the alarms stopped. All at once. The battlefield cameras went dark. EMP? Someone asked. No, Vachtel said, eyes narrowing. They're being taken out, one by one. An hour later, a scout drone came back online. It showed the remains of the Varn's forward firebase. Or what was left of it. The heavy artillery had been disassembled, literally torn apart. The command canopy had collapsed. And scattered across the base were pieces, limbs, armor, half-melted weapons. But no human footprints. Just a smear of black across the central console, where someone had written something in human script. Kale's team had left a message. It translated loosely to First warning. Seconds louder. By nightfall, panic had spread through the Arisian ranks. 3 Varn battalions are missing, a lieutenant reported. No signals. No corpses. Just gone. Voktel stared across the plains where dust storms rolled like silent avalanches. Somewhere in that haze, 5 humans walked alone. No radio chatter. No posturing. No demands. He had dealt with dozens of species. Fought alongside mercenaries and cyborgs, synthetic legions, even sentient gas clouds once. All predictable. But not humans. They didn't move like armies. They hunted. He found Kale alone just before midnight, standing atop a ridgeline near the western breach. His hands were bare. No gun. Just a small beacon unit embedded in his forearm, slowly pulsing. "You've caused chaos," Voktel said. Kale didn't turn. "We haven't started. I had 1,000 warriors stationed here. Now they're afraid of shadows. They should be." Voktel bristled. "We asked for support, not ghosts." Kale finally turned, his face unreadable. "You called Earth. You didn't call for soldiers. You called for us. We're not here to hold the line. We're here to make sure the Varn never think about crossing it again. You only brought 5. Kale looked up at the sky. "Exactly." Back inside the outpost walls, a new transmission intercepted a Varn internal frequency. It wasn't encrypted. It wasn't even loud. Just a whisper. "They're behind us." Then static. The Varn's dreadnought, their psychic coordination grid, collapsed within minutes. The feedback alone killed 3 linked officers on the spot. None of the humans were even near them. At dawn, a Varn command officer was spotted limping across the field. He carried a single weapon, and a white flag torn from his own cape. He collapsed outside the outpost gates. When revived, he spoke only 3 words. Over and over. Eyes wide. Voice shaking. "Not reinforcements, predators." The wind howled through the shattered towers of Release 4, carrying ash and fragments of bone across the broken city. Beneath the silence, something moved. Kale crouched on a rooftop ledge, his eyes behind a matte HUD visor. The sky pulsed orange with orbital dust storms. In his earpiece, the others were silent, but he didn't need voices. They knew the rhythm. He watched the Varn advance through the avenue below, ranked formations, gleaming rifles, psychic scouts whispering to each other through the dreadnought. All of it was protocol. Predictable. Kale tapped the side of his visor. It highlighted the weak spots, narrow gaps in formation, overextended psychic nodes, slow-moving tank crawlers blocking their own rear lines. He smiled faintly. "Let's begin." Elsewhere, in the dark spine of a collapsed sewer line, Jenks crawled silently on his elbows. His breath was steady, eyes fixed ahead. The thermal scan of the enemy outpost flickered on his wrist display. 10 hostiles. Standard Varn patrol. Arrogant posture. He whispered through a cracked tooth. "Party of 10. Table for 1. He unlatched a vial the size of his thumb, activated the enzyme. The liquid inside hissed with bioreactive fury. He rolled it toward the guards. 3 seconds later, the entire squad screamed in one mind-split psychic wave, and collapsed, their suits dissolving into melting gel. Jenks stepped out of the dark, wiping soot from his boots. 10 down. Back on the ridge, Kale met Ren halfway up a crater slope. She carried 2 satchels over her shoulder, eyes sharp and quiet. Her fingers were blackened from thermite residue. "Demo set?" Kale asked. "Every comm tower west of Sector 9. Wired and ready." "And the distraction?" She didn't answer, just looked behind them. Far in the distance, one of the towers erupted into a geyser of flame, knocking out half the Varn's communication grid. 2 more followed. Lights across their tactical map blinked out in succession. "Guess they'll be calling for help," Ren muttered. Kale smirked. "Let him." Basto handled the up-close work. The big man didn't use explosives. Didn't need to. He moved like a sledgehammer wrapped in a whisper. A Varn command tent, heavily guarded, was ripped apart by hand. Not cut. Ripped. Armor torn from bodies. Throats crushed. Not a shot fired. He dragged a lieutenant out by the leg, lifted him high, and growled in low Earth standard. Tell your gods Earth is watching. Then he dropped the twitching alien into a stack of burning data slates and walked into the smoke. Silva was already watching from orbit. Her scope stretched 10 kilometers, locked onto psychic nodes and shielded command tech. She breathed once every 20 seconds. Her fingers barely moved. Each shot was timed with Varn's psychic surges, so that when a node pulsed, her round would arrive at the same instant. One neuron flash later, the grid would flicker, then fail. Her kill count wasn't visible on screen. She didn't need numbers. She only needed one confirmation, no response. As dawn cracked the ash-filled sky, Kale sat alone in the ruins of an ancient monument. It had once been a statue of a Varn victory, now broken at the neck. A signal chimed. He activated the beacon on his wrist. A low, pulsing hum filled the atmosphere. In orbit, for black shapes decloaked. Earth dreadnoughts, silent, unbroadcasted, unnoticed until now. They didn't fire. They didn't need to. The Varn looked up and saw them. That was enough. Panic spread through the ranks. The dreadnought collapsed again. Entire units broke formation, unsure if they were surrounded or already doomed. In a rusted bunker deep behind enemy lines, the Varn's supreme tactician Vashrek slammed his claws against the console. This is not war. This is infection. An advisor stammered. The humans aren't following known engagement models. We can't track them. No patterns. No communication. No leadership. They don't need it, came a voice. Everyone turned. Standing in the doorway was Sergeant Kale. No weapon in hand. Just a calm, precise stance. How? The advisor began. Kale raised a small device. Your shield codes. You should really change them more often. Then the lights went out. When Vashrek woke, he was alone. All his data was gone. His maps erased. His comms silent. And carved into the floor, scorched deep into the metal. You weren't worth conquering. Back at Outpost Pyra, Voktel paced the command room, scanning the reports. Varn retreats confirmed on all fronts, his officer said. How many human casualties? A long pause. 0. Voktel didn't speak for a while. Then he said, almost reverently, What are they? Behind him, Kale stepped into the room, face unreadable. We're the reason your enemies never reach your walls. The Varn fleet began burning before sunrise. Not from human weapons, not from orbiting dreadnoughts, but from within. Self-destruction, panic protocols triggered by ghosts in their own systems. No one could pinpoint how the sabotage was executed. Their own engineers couldn't explain it. Because there were no tools left behind. No breach signatures. No survivors. Just data trails ending mid-command. Like something had erased their existence and moved on. Kale stood at the outer perimeter of Release 4's final Varn stronghold. Ren approached from the smog-covered hillside, her silhouette emerging like a phantom. It's quiet, she said. Kale didn't move. They're hiding. Waiting to surrender without saying it. Want me to bring the fireworks? No need. We're already inside. She tilted her head. You sure? He tapped his earpiece twice. Across the channel, Silva's calm voice whispered through the feed. 5 floors down. Command chamber secured. Jenks left a message. In the bunker core, Varn Commander Kelrith stared at the words scrawled across his tactical table. We saw this coming. You didn't. His hands trembled. He hadn't slept in 2 days. No command structure. No dreadnought. No backup. Just the knowledge that 5 humans had slipped into the heart of his army and unstrung it like thread. When he tried to send a final emergency pulse for reinforcements, the console hissed and sparked. One of Jenks' microcharges melted the relay with silent precision. Behind him, Basto stepped into view. Kelrith dropped to his knees. I surrender. Basto said nothing. He just opened the bunker door and let the terrified soldiers spill out, unarmed and shaking. Above, the Earth dreadnoughts didn't fire a single round. They stayed silent in orbit, cloaked again within minutes. Their purpose was fear, not firepower. Down below, Kale and Ren walked through the Varn base without resistance. No alarms. No guards. Only the stench of defeat. Ren glanced at her commander. Think they'll report it right? Kale shook his head. They'll lie. Say it was sabotage. Say it wasn't us. Should we correct them? He looked at the nearest surveillance drone and spoke clearly. We're Deathworlders. We don't correct lies. We let the fear fix itself. The next day, Kale filed the mission log from his wrist console. His fingers typed slow, deliberate. Release force secured. No civilian casualties. Enemy command neutralized. Psychological superiority established. No further hostilities expected. He paused before the final line, then typed. Message sent. In orbit, the Varn War Council's emergency transmission to their core colonies played footage they thought would be proof of Earth's aggression. Instead, it became something worse. It showed the aftermath, silent, bloodless victory. Terrified alien troops stacked weapons in neat piles. Civilians offering food and supplies to humans who didn't speak, didn't ask, didn't stay. And in the final frame, Kale stood over the scorched remains of a Varn dread beast, once considered unstoppable. He looked into the camera and said only, You shouldn't have asked us to come. On Earth, Command reviewed the footage. High Admiral Corrin watched in silence. He used no artillery. One aide noted. No mass casualties. Corrin nodded. He didn't need to. Fear is cleaner. Another officer whispered. What if they retaliate? Corrin laughed once, without humor. Retaliate against what? Their fear? Their shame? No. They'll bury this. Hide it. Whisper stories to scare their children into obedience. He closed the report. And the next time someone dares raise a weapon at our allies, they'll remember Release 4. The humans left quietly. No medals. No parade. No recorded comms except for one line broadcast to Allied channels. Earth answered. Release is safe. Stand ready. We return when needed. Then silence. Back on the surface, as the last human shuttle lifted into orbit, Commander Vachtel stood alone by the blast crater where the Varn Central Command used to be. In his hand, a small data chip Kale had left behind. Inside was a message. Just a voice. Kale's voice. This wasn't war. This was a warning. You called for help. We came. Next time, don't wait until it's almost too late. We're not soldiers. We're Deathworlders. We don't fight to win. We fight so they never try again.